Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and welcome to another video. And again, I'm Alex Merced of alexmercedcoder.com and devnursery.com. So feel free to check out any of those websites to learn more about me, or head over to Dev Nursery to join the Slack and the Discord community. Really good place to meet other developers and ask me questions and all that good stuff. But this video is going to be more about just sort of like using the right tools to build your developer portfolio. So if you are a web developer who's learned one of the main front-end frameworks, either React, Svelte, Vue, Angular, your first temptation is going to be just, hey, I'm going to go use that to build my portfolio. Now, a couple of the issues with choosing the client-side framework to do your portfolio is that what happens is that client-side frameworks don't always play the friendliest with like search engine optimization, which, especially if you include a blog on your website, you're gonna want static pages. They're gonna load up faster. They're gonna be easier to host. Not that it matters, because it's pretty easy to host anything on Netlify these days, or Vercel. And 3, they're gonna be better for search engines. Luckily, whether you use React, Vue, Svelte, Angular, there is a tool for you to build these static websites. There's multiple tools to create static websites. I'm going to be focusing on only a small subset of them. So I want to be focusing on doing your portfolio with React, using specifically the NextJS framework. So throughout this, I'm going to be using it, but if you're a Vue person, then you would just use Nux, and it works very similar to Next.js. Okay, so if you're using Vue, Nux is your boy. Or Gridsum. Gridsum is another framework in the Vue world that will allow you to make static websites. In the Svelte world, you can use SvelteKit, which is sort of like the official tool, like made by Rich Harris and the other people behind Svelte. But there are also other tools out there built around Svelte, like Elder.js, Jungle.js, that will allow you to make static websites. And I know like the person who does Elder.js is really, really focused on SEO. So like that's really specialized for like SEO purposes, although I haven't used Elder.js. So, but just so you're aware of it. Okay, and in React, and I forgot another mention. React, there's also Remix. So technically in React, technically, let me stipulate that Remix technically wouldn't be for this particular project, because Remix is actually meant for like a full stack server-side website. It's not really, doesn't really do static rendering. So when it comes to like server-side rendering, Remix competes with Next.js, but doesn't compete with Next.js in the same way Gatsby competes with Next.js, which is more on the static rendering side. And what's that mean? It just means that instead of having the page generated when the person requests a website on the server, or having it assembled once the page arrives at the browser, which means client side, which is like your typical if you just used React or Vue or Svelte by itself. That's what would be happening. Technically, you're just sending this like empty HTML file, and then the whole website's being built from your JavaScript after the page loads. Instead of it being sort of like this HTML that's sort of pre-generated on the server, that's server-side rendering. Static rendering says, how about we just don't do neither? Okay, how about this? Instead of generating the page when the user wants it, it's been pre-generated a long time ago. That's technically how websites usually originally worked. You would write an HTML file and write some CSS and JavaScript, and you would just send those files to the browser, and that was it. Problem is like, you know, you would have to manually update them. That would be really frustrating. The beauty of these static site generating tools is that you can generate those files dynamically, so you can write dynamic code but generate static files, which again are going to be faster and better for search engines, which is great for your portfolio. Okay, great also if you're building a blog, also great for just like any website that doesn't necessarily need very regular updates. And even then, even if it does update regularly, there's ways to handle that, but we won't go too deep. Okay, but just so you know, again, depending on what your framework is of choice, I recommend dabbling in it all. Okay, I like playing with all of the toys. It just gives me appreciation for, you know, different features. When I see that feature implemented in different ways in different frameworks, I just have a better appreciation for what it is doing because I've seen it from different angles. But yeah, there we go. So let's close all this, create a new React project, or technically a new Next.js project. So let's just hit the documentation, getting started. So here's like the command, so that way we can create a project. So here I have a folder open in Visual Studio Code, so we can start working on this. So to create an app, we just do npx create next app. I'm I'm going to put the @latest flag, so that way we're using the latest version just in case. Although you don't have to do @latest, it should generally use the latest version by itself, but it's never a bad idea to use the @latest flag. And then you're going to put, do I need to put a project name? I don't think I do. Okay, so I'll just do @latest. I think it's going to ask me for one. Yep, why? Nope, that's just asking me to confirm that I want to do that. There, yep, it is asking for a project name, so we'll just say portfolio. And then it's going to install everything that I need. So that'll take a second, so I'll take a sip of hot chocolate. Been on a real hot chocolate kick lately. Discover that if you put a spoonful of vanilla ice cream in your hot chocolate, it will make you happy. Okay? Or at least me happy. I don't know about like my body. Okay, so now that that's done loading, let's go over here and just take a look at the actual files that this generates. For those who haven't used Next before, I am going to kind of explain like how Next works so that we can appreciate it. We're not going to do anything too crazy. Really, we're just going to make like a one-page skeleton of a portfolio because I want you to do sort of your styling. Okay, the idea here is just so you can kind of see like how to use Next, create something with Next, a portfolio, and kind of go from there. So here we go. Just so you understand, all of these formats, and again, this is going to be the same with Nux, same with SvelteKit. Generally, they all work from like a folder, typically called pages, sometimes source. But the idea is that it uses what's called file-based routing. So the name of the actual page is the name of the file. The only exception is index, because index always just means the main file of that folder. So the index inside the pages folder generally means the main page of the website. Okay, so really we're just gonna work with that. Okay, that's gonna be it. Okay, so we're not gonna do anything too crazy here. Okay, but just to kind of show you, if I wanted to create a page called cheese, all I would do is in this pages folder, okay, I would just create a file called cheese.js. And all I gotta do is export default, and I forget, is it export default? Yep, export default. And then we would just export default a function, which we will call cheese, which will just return an h1 that literally gives you the word cheese. Okay, and then let me just run the server, npm run dev, that's the run the development server, although I should probably cd into the actual folder. npm run dev. Okay. Oh, we didn't like it. What's happening? This is related to not being able to find a file. Package.json. Scratch portfolio. In the right file folder. Actually, no, it seems to be working at the moment. Okay, we figured it out. So let's see here. Localhost 3000. So see, that's the main page. That's what's inside the index.js. Okay, but then if I go to /cheese, there's the h1 with cheese. That's going to play the cheese.js component. So essentially what it is that each file determines the name of the page, and then the component that file exports is the content of that page. Okay, so essentially, and that's going to be the same for Nux, same for SvelteKit, same idea. Okay, the other cool thing you can do is you can make API routes. We're not going to really do any backend stuff here, but theoretically, again, with all three frameworks, you have the ability to make API routes, which are like backend routes. But we're making a static website, so we're not going to want to use that because we just want a static page. Okay, so essentially what you would do is you just really kind of sketch out this particular page. So what we'll do is we'll empty all this out, so that way it's a nice, clear. And just so you know, like if you wanted to link things, like if you did want to use, probably not jQuery, but if you wanted to use like a CSS framework or something like that, and you wanted to use just standard like link tags, you could use this head component that's built into NextJS, and again, other frameworks have their equivalent, that you can then put those like meta tags, title tags, all that stuff in there. So I'm going to leave that there, but I'm going to delete the rest of this because we don't want to put so much stuff in one file. Okay, we're only going to have one page, but this would work a lot better, and I'll just shut off the server for a second. Okay, this would work a lot better if we just had a header component that was just kind of like the header of the page. A body component, that's the body of the page. And a footer component, that's the footer of the page. And actually, this should probably be called main to not be confused with the body tag. Okay, so I'm going to create these components. So right now, it would error out if I ran it because these components don't exist yet. So we need to kind of do that. So to do that, what we can do is we can just create a components folder. So we'll just create a new folder just here in the main area, components. And here we can put all our components that are not pages. Okay, because again, here should only go real like actual pages. So this will be like /g's, this will be index. This _app file has a special meaning in Next.js. It's a place where you can, if you want to use things like Redux or Recoil and wrap like context providers around your whole app, this is where you would do that. Again, we're not going to go there for this video. I do have other Next.js videos where I go in more depth with a lot of these features. Mainly here, this is geared towards just making a plain static web page. And just so you get familiar with Next.js. And really, at the end of the day, if you're familiar with React, this is pretty much, it's React. Just with some bells and whistles. Okay, so here we go. And I can go in this components folder and we can make our header.js, which will just again be a function. Export default function. Header. Props. Okay. And we'll just return an h1 for header for now. Okay, and then that's that. Export default function. What doesn't it like? Cannot find module next babel require stack. Okay, I don't think that's actually a real error. I just think that's more of just a weird ESLint not finding a particular thing that it exists kind of error. But again, I would do the same thing for like main and footer. So new file main.js. Let me just make footer.js while I'm at it. And then we'll just copy this, put it in footer, just name the function footer instead. And then I'll go head over to main, do it again, footer. Now I'll head back to my index, my main page. I'm just going to import those components. Okay, so we'll say I get rid of this reference since we're not using this. Okay. Header, import that from there. Okay, let's import main. I'll just do this main. Did I forget to update this one? Yes, I did. I called it footer a second time. Main. Footer, good. Let's head back to index. Main. And footer. And there we go. Okay. So now these components are going to work. So if I were to run the server again. So run the server again. And then I go back to the main page, which again, that would be without this cheese in the URL. Okay. And so we see those three components appear there. Okay, so essentially you would just build out, but the cool thing about this is like right now it just feels like normal React, which is what this is going to feel like. So you just build out your portfolio like you would normally build out your portfolio. The benefit is that when you actually deploy this, is that instead of getting all this React code, it's going to just render it as a static page. Okay, so a lot of this will just end up outputting as just normal HTML, which is again going to load faster, etc. Now, when it comes to you start building out your portfolio, what I would do, far as like handling your data, is what I would do is here in your components file, new file, and I would just create a data.json. It's just a JSON file, and then any data you want. So this way, you put in as a you have to hard code as little like paragraphs and data in your code. Really, in your components just should be like where the data should be injected, your styles, basically your logic. Like we can keep all the content here in this JSON file, so that way it's just one easy place to edit everything you need. So I just start building this out. I just be like name, Alex Merced. Okay, tagline. Again, this is a JSON file, so again, this is like a JavaScript object, but the keys and values all need quotation marks unless it's a number. Bottom line is like you just have to write quotations around keys, not. So tagline. I teach. I code. Actually, I code and I know things. Why not? Okay. And then we would do like projects. So here we have like our projects that we want displayed on our website. On our portfolio website, which will be an array. So then we would do like an array of more objects, and then each object would have like the name of the project. Then it would have like an image. You would just put in the whatever picture here. Okay. And don't forget your commas after your properties. Okay. Image, the GitHub link. And that would be your GitHub link, and then a link to like the live project. Again, don't forget your commas. Okay, and then I would just keep making more of those. So I would try to have 4 projects or 4 items that are in your project section. Essentially basically build out all the data of your website here. Like what are the links on your navigation? What are the everything. Okay, so this way you have this one object that has all your data. You can just pass into these components, and then like my header, I can just go loop over the links, create the navigation bar. In main, I can then loop over the projects and display all my projects. Maybe I have like different like paragraphs in there that I can inject in different places. This way, I don't have to go, once I've built out the components, once I've done the design, I don't have to go play around and sift through all that code to continue sketching out my website. All I have to do is really just go back into this JSON file and edit this JSON file that handles my content. Okay? And the cool thing is you can then take that template that you created and give to somebody else, and all they have to do, they don't need to know exactly how you wrote all your React code. They can just edit the JSON file to take the template you created for your portfolio and use it for their portfolio. So that's kind of the deal there. Okay, so that's really it. Like that's all it would take to create your portfolio page, because your portfolio really should just be like a page, links to the relevant links, done. Okay, and then basically you want to be linking to things like a blog. So if you're not having your blog on the website, you might want to have like a dev.to blog, or a LinkedIn blog or Medium blog. You want to link to your LinkedIn, you want to link to your GitHub, you want to link to anything that's going to be relevant to demonstrating sort of like this is who I am as a developer. Okay, but then you're going to want to deploy it. Now, if you're using one of the other ones like Vue, Nux, SvelteKit, Scully, the ones I've mentioned earlier, you might want to Google like how to deploy to Netlify, how to deploy to Vercel to get the exact steps for deploying those there, but generally they should be the same. So here it's going to be like deploying anything else in Netlify. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to just upload the code to Git. So you push to GitHub, and again, if you're not familiar with how to use GitHub, just Google my videos on GitHub. I have plenty of videos on using GitHub and Git and all sorts of things. Okay, over 1,000 videos, so there should be videos on content you like, and if you don't know where to find my videos, there's devnursery.com, which will load in a moment, but I'll take a quick hot chocolate. And then here you can go to video tutorials. And this is a good example. I do the same thing here where I have like a JSON file. So it's like all these things, they're just entries in a JSON file. And then I just load the JSON and then it loop through it to generate all these cards. Okay, so that way every time I need to edit this website, I don't have to go sit there and sift through the TypeScript files I have that for this particular website. I just add to the JSON, and that just makes life a lot easier. Okay, so that way I can think about my content here and then think about sort of my structure and design and whatnot over here. Okay, cool. So that's here. And again, you can find everything organized by like topic. So whatever you want to learn. Plenty of videos. I like to talk. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Okay, but yeah, so you'll just upload it to Git, and once you upload it to Git, you'll connect the new site like if you've never connected to Git before. And if you haven't seen my video on deploying to Netlify and Vercel, that's another video to watch. But it's going to be generally that same process. You're going to connect the Git repo. The only real big difference here is that you have to click on this Next on Netlify plugin. And that's really if you just really want to, at the end of the day, like that's really if you want to take advantage of like all the features of Next. If you're just deploying a static website, you can be even simpler. Okay, because there's you can do like, I forget, it's like export command that'll just basically export the HTML. I actually think it's in the package.json. Let's see here. If you go to the package.json, take a look at the commands. It's like build. I guess they don't have that export command anymore. It used to be like an export command, like next export, and that would actually export the static build. But yeah, so basically once you connect your Git repo with your Next project to here, you just have to make sure you click on the Next Netlify plugin. If you're using Vercel, it's going to be a lot easier because Vercel was literally built for NextJS. It's the same company that builds NextJS is Vercel. So they make that process of deploying to them like the simplest thing in the world. But yeah, and that's it. Okay, so again, my goal here wasn't necessarily to show you how to like design the thing. That's something you should learn how to do, and you should watch design videos and learn the design process to design your portfolio. But one thing you can do is you can go head over to a website like Behance.com, and you can take a look at like dev portfolios. Just do a search for something like that. Okay, and you can kind of see different examples that you might give you an inspiration for, like, hey, how do you want your portfolio to look like? And then you can take that and then just use your CSS and HTML skills and your React skills to then build that out. Okay, so like again, this video isn't supposed to meant be a get out of jail free card and having to design your portfolio and learn how to do design in CSS and HTML, but a guide on how you can use Next.js without having to be an expert in Next.js to build a website that's going to be, again, better for search engines, faster, because you're taking advantage of static rendering. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and learned some things. Leave your comments, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. There will be more. I'll see you all later. Have a great day and enjoy.